Moving on to the Denver Broncos, Mark Kisler wrote a column today about how C.J. Anderson can be the leader of this team in terms of toughness. One of the things that struck me was just that's a lot to place on a running back, especially given all the change in the running back position and for the Broncos in the past couple of years. Do you guys see C.J. Anderson being the starter at the end of the season? And if so, what does he possess that Ronnie Hillman and Monte Ball didn't?
You want to attack that first?
I've never seen C.J. Anderson as a great leader. He just doesn't have that type of personality. I think he's a leader by example. I don't see him as a very vocal guy. I think where Kiz is going is having to do with the
toughness of the team in general.
Right, where, Danny Trevathan hit him, and then, the coaches are mad at Danny Trevathan, and then, CJ tried to diffuse the situation by saying good play. That's not a knock on CJ Anderson. I mean, he's got a great story. Undrafted, free agent, battled his way up. I'm not suggesting he can't be a leader on this team, but he's not an overly vocal guy from the time I've spent around him. Chris Harris has developed into a vocal leader.
He's taking it on.
No question about it. For CJ, it might be even a little bit early. This is going to be his first full season trying to be a leader. I think Luis Vasquez is a leader. I think Peyton Manning is a leader on the offensive side. I know Demaryius Thomas wants to be a leader, but he's still a quiet guy as well. I can see Emmanuel Sanders being a leader because Emmanuel Sanders is a vocal guy. Champ Bailey was not a leader, and anybody that believes he was a leader is kidding themselves. He was a leader by example. He didn't talk a lot. So what are we referring to when it comes to leaders? John Lynch, vocal. Brian Dawkins, vocal. To me, C.J. Anderson isn't an overly vocal guy. It's not to say that he can't lead by example, but I've never seen him as an overly vocal guy.
I'm with Eric here. He's an articulate, bright kid. Went to Cal Berkeley. You got to be smart to go to Cal Berkeley, right? But he is somewhat soft-spoken. And on top of that, because of the nature of the position and because of what we've seen C.J. Anderson go through the last 3 years, let's keep in mind, 2 years ago, hurt, didn't play a whole season. Last year only really played 7 games. He only started 7 games, so we don't know if he can make it through a full season. This year, limps off the field in the Seattle game. Yesterday, ends up with a sore hip, getting hurt on the practice field. So, look, you can't lead from the training room. We've said this before many times.
That was Brian Dawkins' problem. He was a great leader with the Philadelphia Eagles, but in his last year, despite being a great leader, he spent most of it on the sidelines.
So, C.J. Anderson I don't think it's necessary to have C.J. Anderson as a leader. I do think this team needs to be a little more tough. So if C.J. Anderson can give him a little more toughness, great.
All right.